Welcome to Draft Central. I'm Bobby Krivitsky here with Evan Lazar and Taylor Kyles. Taylor, we'll start with you. Who's the Patriots' best option at safety on day 2 of the draft?
I'm going to go with someone I have to imagine is pretty high on their board. That's Antoine Winfield Jr. When you see his click close from the deep part of the field, his ability to quickly find the ball and just pull that trigger and shoot downhill and make the tackle, most importantly, that's something they covet in their safeties. Now, I think if you're going to put him deep, he's better in two high structures, which the Patriots run more of than I think a lot of people realize, especially in their base packages. He's great when he's playing the deep half. There are some plays where you know that he's supposed to kind of be towards the sideline, and he'll make a play or make a tackle stopping a tight end or somebody in the middle of the field short in an assignment that he's really not supposed to be in technically. And that just tells you how good he is at understanding where the quarterback wants to go in the ball in different routes, as well as the fact that when he does play deep center field, I don't think he's got the range where you want to keep him there most of the time. But at least every once again, if you want to kind of teeter in between, if you're going too high and then shifting to a single, I think he can give you some good range, and his ball skills are fantastic. So he'll at least be able to understand the concept and be in good position to protect it. He's really good at making sure that plays don't get over top of him when he's pursuing. He takes fantastic angles. And I like that he can get into the box, mix it up in the run game. He's a very active tackler. He likes contact. And when he's up against tight ends, he can get physical and then jam them. Although his length isn't fantastic, but he's got good toughness. And what he lacks in size, he makes up for in his play demeanor. So I think he's someone that could really give you a good chess piece to mostly work in the box, maybe coming downhill is more of a robber. And then sometimes, if you're going to shift, have him play deep center field. But I love his versatility.
Yeah, an incredibly versatile, incredibly instinctive player with great ball hawking skills, I think, from center field. I agree that his length, I would say, is a bigger concern for me than his range. This is a guy that ran at 4.4. I think he has enough juice to be over the top. The question is that 5'9" with short arms, is that enough margin for error if he is a half step late or even a quarter step late? Does he have the ability to make up for it with his length? And the answer is no. So I think that's the hesitation with putting him in deep center field. But the problem is that he's just so good there that I don't know how often I want to move him out of there. I mean, he has the ability to really flip and run with anybody. There's that interception he had against Penn State where he's got a receiver from 15 yards away running full speed at him, and he's able to, with a two-way go. I mean, the receiver can break in or out at any time here. And he has the ability to flip the hips and run with him up the seam and then adjust to the ball in the air and high point it and pick off the pass. He then had the interception at the end of a game in overtime where they tried to kind of bait him inside with a post, and then they ran a little bit of a leak route out the backside of it. And he looks at the quarterback, reads the quarterback's eyes, peels off the post route, and jumps the leak route for a game-winning interception. Those are the types of plays that you see all over Antoine Winfield's tape. I think the ability also to step up against the run and really take on some blockers despite his size is pretty impressive just from an effort and physicality standpoint too. So a really awesome prospect that I think would probably be a lock first round pick if he was a little bit taller and a little bit bigger. But at 5'9", I think he's 202, 203, something like that. He's just undersized. So he's probably going to be a top 50 guy still, but go in the second round instead of in round one.
And about his
prospect. Go ahead, Taylor.
Sorry, from his range single high. I don't want to say he can't do it or anything like that. It's more that there were some plays where I saw that he was a tick late, and I think it's because he doesn't have the, I think, prototypical speed that you'd want to see from the center of the field. And like you said, I think the length is a part of that where he can't really make up for it. And in the NFL, obviously, we know that small margin for error can be significant. So it's more that I'd also like to see more of it because Minnesota played so much too high. You didn't get a huge sample size. So, I mean, if he can do it at professional level, I think that as long as he's not playing a lot of really fast guys who are going to exploit that little advantage against him, he'll be fine. But I'd definitely like to see a little more of it. Don't want to say he can't do it, but I think he's better off in a too high structure.
Yeah, or a robber. I think he'd be a really good robber there too, just rotating down. His instincts are just so good and his ball hawking skills are so good, he'll find the football.
This is a prospect, excuse me, who I can't say enough good things about. Winfield Jr. won the Big Ten's Tatum Woodson Defensive Back of the Year award. He tied the Minnesota school record with 7 interceptions. And to me, I see a complete player, a terrific athlete. And as you guys also touched on, I love his motor. But Evan, another intriguing day 2 option at safety is Ashtyn Davis.
Yeah, it's like picking between two sons for me with Ashtyn Davis and Antoine Winfield. Both these guys are two of my favorite prospects in the entire draft. What I love so much about Ashtyn Davis is that this guy walked onto the football team at Cal. He actually committed to Cal on a track scholarship, which tells you how fast he is. And then he decided to walk on the football, wins back-to-back special teams MVPs for the Golden Bears in his freshman and sophomore season, finally gets on the field at safety more his junior year, and is just an absolute stud. I mean, there's the play against Justin Herbert in Oregon where Justin Herbert thinks he's got the seam wide open, and here comes Ashtyn Davis running across the field and breaks up the pass by separating the man from the ball with a huge hit from single high. You have plays like that. You have center field ball hawking skills. You have the ability to step up against the run with a really good downhill trigger, and he gets there and fires into gaps really quickly and is able to really get into the alley a lot faster than some of these other guys that have ever shown on tape. But I think it's really the backpedal transition, click and close from center field and from two high structures or robbers or wherever you want to put him that is really the most impressive skill about him, watching him on tape. But I love the toughness and the competitiveness, the ability to play on all four downs on special teams. This is a Patriots type player with A-plus character. So a lot of really great Patriot boxes, and he's a favorite of the draft community on the internet. So I'm really fascinated to see what the league thinks of him. Oftentimes we're on polar opposite sides of the spectrum with some of these guys. So I'm fascinated to see if the league agrees with all of us internet scouts that he's one of the better safety prospects in this draft.
Another intriguing option at safety is Jeremy Chinn. He's 6'3", 221 pounds. He ran a 4.5 40 and registered a 41-inch vertical. He looks to me like he could play defensive end and people wouldn't really question it. I love the swagger that he brings. And if he makes the jump from Southern Illinois to the NFL effectively, Taylor, wherever he goes, that defense is going to feed off of his energy.
Absolutely. Another really versatile player. He played a lot of two-high safety as well, and because of his closing ability and his ability to read route combinations and quarterbacks, he's fantastic at letting the quarterback take him where he needs to go. I think he could survive if you want him at deep safety, but a lot of people also project him as having a role at linebacker in the NFL, which you could also see because he's got the physicality, he's got the build. I mean, the dude's just a freak athlete. He not only does he have the range and the speed and athleticism, but he's got the bulk as well to mix it up in the trenches. So I could also see him serving in that role as well. He's a strong tackler. He understands his fits as well when he's closer to the box. So he's one of those guys where I think Belichick could maybe put him in a Patrick Chung type of role, even put him in the box more depending on what they do week to week. But another guy who I think is probably high on the Patriots board because of his tackling, because of his versatility, and because of his football intelligence.
If he went to a different school, flip Grant Delpit and Jeremy Chinn for me.
Not this again.
Put Jeremy Chinn on LSU, and I guarantee you this guy is being talked about as a first-round pick. 99th percentile athlete, versatile dude, can play single high, can play two deep, can play in the box. I think the one thing that really impressed me the most was that his footwork and his technique for a small school prospect is well more advanced than I was expecting. You know, you turn on tape of like Kyle Duggar, for example, from Leinor Wren, he's a raw prospect, right? He's winning with athleticism and with the ability to just run around and be physical. Jeremy Chinn's winning with detail and the athleticism, and I think that's really what separates him from some of these other guys. He made an interception at a single high where they tried a double move initially, and he almost jumped the slant, right? He was almost about to trigger downhill on the slant. He notices a double move, and he opens his hips just perfectly for the angle that he's going to have to run and anticipate the deep ball that's coming off the double move, and then he times up his leap perfectly at the end and picks off the pass. Also an extremely quick downhill trigger into the alley, one of the faster guys of downhill triggering into the run game and getting into that alley and filling and being able to stand up running backs and ball carriers as a tackler. Just an all-around really good prospect that just went to a smaller school and isn't getting the love as some of the big school guys.
And Evan, if the Patriots want to find a younger heir apparent to Patrick Chung at strong safety as opposed to Adrian Phillips, who they signed this offseason, Terrell Burgess is a good option for them to pursue in the middle of the draft.
Yeah, the Utah secondary sneakily has a bunch of different NFL prospects, and Terrell Burgess is a one-year starter, a guy that really had to work his butt off to get on the field, But the one thing that you hear about when you talk to his teammates is how much he prepared during the week. Film study, practice preparation, practice effort. Those are things that we don't talk about enough when it comes to a lot of these prospects, is how hard do these guys try at practice during the week? How hard are they grinding in the film room and during film study and in meetings with coaches? Burgess was that type of guy. I think the most impressive thing about him, though, is his ability to play deep and play man coverage with both effectiveness. I'm not saying that he's necessarily going to play a single high center field role, but if you put him in two deep structures, he's pretty freaking good at staying over the top of multiple vertical routes. I mean, this guy made an interception against USC that was incredible. He has two vertical routes running into his deep zone, his half field zone, and he's got to stay in between both of them, reads the quarterback's eyes, peels off of one to get to the other one, and picks off the pass. Those are the types of plays that you see him make all the time, was staying on top of two verticals at the same time from his half field spot. In man coverage, really sticky guy initially in the coverage, which is what the Patriots usually like. Straps on right away, doesn't have the best length, but certainly can contest the ball skills and contest the passes pretty well as well. So just an all-around good prospect. That 1 year of experience might knock him down the board to about the third, fourth round. He's a big nickel, ability to play in the slot, also a little bit of an ability to play deep, and will definitely be a core special teamer as well in the league, which is where he was playing before he started to get on the field a little bit more at defensive back.
And you mentioned how hard he works. I think that's something you could see on the game tape, because he's a guy who sees what he sees what the play is, and he runs to the football. He's a lot of confidence, and you can tell if players playing with confidence, it's usually because they recognize what's going on. His processing speed is fantastic. He's another guy that likes to get involved in the run game, very physical, willing to stick his nose in the dirt. Now, when it comes to man coverage, I think he's better off maybe sticking with tight ends. I don't think he's got the hip quickness to really keep up with some of the shiftier slot receivers he could see in the NFL. I do think he could stay over the top, though, and make sure that he's not getting beat deep by those guys or anything like that. I'd love to see him in, like we said with Antoine Winfield, in more of a robber role where he can come downhill and really either attack in the run game or use his kind of instinctiveness to maybe jump some routes and make some plays in the middle of the field.
Plenty of promising options at safety throughout the draft. For Evan Lazar and Taylor Kyles, I'm Bobby Krivitsky. For all of our Patriots-related content, including Evan's big board featuring the 50 players who would fit best in New England, check out clnsmedia.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Patriots Press Pass.